Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're journeying into two incredibly distinct yet equally vibrant Brazilian states that you've asked us to explore, Mato Grosso do Sul and Roraima. We're talking about places that might just redefine what you think you know about Brazil.
That's right. Our mission today is to sift through your sources, pulling out those compelling nuggets of knowledge to give you a real shortcut, to being well-informed. You might picture Brazil as samba and beaches, but these two states offer, well, surprising facts and deep aha moments that really defy easy categorization.
Absolutely. From the rugged cowboy culture and unique social rituals of the South to the profound indigenous heritage and raw, untamed Amazonian frontier in the North, we're about to uncover layers of identity you might never have expected. So what do you think will surprise you most as we explore these fascinating corners of Brazil?
Okay, so our journey begins deep in Brazil's heart, in Mato Grosso do Sul, a place where the land itself has sculpted a really unique way of life. And there's one geographical feature that, well, it dictates almost everything here, the Pantanal. This isn't just any wetland, it's the world's largest tropical wetland, a true inland sea, you could say. And it profoundly shapes the entire region.
Yeah, it's remarkable how that immense environment has fostered such a rich cultural blend. You see influences from indigenous peoples, Portuguese colonizers, Spanish traditions, even neighboring Paraguay, all converging into something, well, pretty unique, a vibrant tapestry of identities. And at the very core of that tapestry is the Pantanero, the local cowboy. Their spirit isn't just tied to cattle herding, it's almost an extension of the wetlands themselves. They even have their own version of a rodeo lasso computo.
Oh yeah, where the precision of cattle wrangling is like a source of immense Pantanero pride.
Exactly.
And, their aesthetic, those wide-brimmed hats, sturdy boots, leather belts with the big metal buckles, it isn't just for show. It really speaks to a life lived on horseback, navigating that incredible, often challenging landscape. It's practical, but also deeply symbolic attire.
Right. And while the Pantanero cowboy is undeniably central, if you scratch beneath that surface, you find even deeper layers. History, culture. What can you tell us about the strong indigenous roots that also define Mato Grosso do Sul?
Well, it's crucial to remember the long-standing presence of the Guarani and Tarina peoples. Their heritage is vividly visible. You see it in the local crafts, traditional dances, and even the spiritual beliefs that still resonate today. And what's fascinating is how these deep roots intertwine with popular traditions, like the Festa de São João.
Ah, the Festival of St. John. I can just picture it. Bonfires lighting up the night, communities coming together for the quadrilla dancing, everyone in those festive frilly dresses and checkered shirts. It sounds like pure community joy.
It truly is. And all that activity, well, it works up an appetite. The cuisine here is as blended and delicious as the culture itself. You'll find chipa, that's a cheesy bread with clear Paraguayan influence, and sopa paraguaya, which, despite its name, isn't a soup at all, funnily enough.
Right, I read that. It's more like a savory, corn-based baked dish, almost like a hearty cornbread.
Exactly. It's a perfect example of that cultural adaptation we see there.
And for something really substantial, maybe after a long day herding cattle, there's the cowboy-style arroz carretero, seasoned rice with beef. But if you're near the water, which, you usually are in the Pantanal,
Yeah.
the river fish like pacu and pintado sound fantastic,
Is-
grilled or in a rich moqueca.
Oh, definitely. Delicious.
Speaking of community, Terry really captures that spirit for me. It's more than just a cold herbal drink. I like mate, right? What is it about this specific ritual that makes it so central to social life there?
Absolutely. Think of it less as just a beverage and more as a shared experience, a ritual. When someone offers vamos tomar tereré, they're not just offering refreshment. They're inviting you into a circle, a moment of trust, of connection. It's a living symbol of Pantanero hospitality, almost like a communal hearth. It truly defines the rhythm of social life.
So it's less about the drink itself and more about the shared time, that deliberate pause for connection. That makes perfect sense for a place with such a strong community spirit.
Precisely. It embodies that Tamawunto spirit. We're in this together. And that sense of shared identity also comes through really powerfully in the music. The region heavily favors sertanejo, chamamé, and polka rhythms, often featuring accordion, violin, guitar, the sounds of rural romanticism.
And when we talk about that spirit, Almir Sater immediately comes to mind. He's a national icon there, isn't he? A master of the viola caipira. His song Tocando Enfrente perfectly embodies that rural reflective mood. And then you have Luan Santana, a huge pop sertanejo star who comes from the capital, Campo Grande.
Yes, no wonder Campo Grande is often nicknamed the Brazilian Nashville because of all these sertanejo stars. But what's truly remarkable, and maybe a bit counterintuitive for some, is that this heartland of cowboy culture also hosts one of Brazil's largest Japanese-Brazilian communities. They celebrate it annually at the Feira do Samba, with incredible food and performances.
Wow, a major Japanese Brazilian community in a place known for cowboys and Sertaneiro. That's unexpected. How did that come about, and how did those very different cultures kind of intertwine in Campo Grande?
That's a great question, and it really challenges those common perceptions of Brazil, doesn't it? Japanese immigrants largely came to Brazil in the early 20th century, mostly to work on coffee farms. Later, many moved to agricultural frontiers like Mato Grosso do Sul, bringing their traditions, their food, everything with them. This isn't just a demographic fact. It highlights how migration and cultural blending create these unique, vibrant expressions far from the usual coastal stereotypes. It shows us a Brazil that's globally interconnected in ways maybe many don't realize, a deeply rooted cowboy city with a significant Asian imprint. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. And of course, the Pantanal is home to some incredible animals. The jaguar, the onça pintada, has to be the star, right? Elusive, powerful, really revered as the symbolic animal of the state.
Absolutely. But beyond the jaguar, you'll also find capybaras everywhere, giant anteaters, caimans, the vibrant hyacinth macaw. The flora is just as stunning, too. Those striking yellow and purple ivy trees, loads of diverse aquatic plants, and those towering buriti palms. These aren't just beautiful, they're integral to the whole ecosystem and the Pantanero way of life.
For iconic locations, beyond the Pantanal itself, Campo Grande stands out as that fascinating mix of urban modernity and distinct cowboy culture. Then there's Bonito, a true ecotourism hub, famous for its crystal-clear rivers and incredible caves. And for something truly mysterious, Lagoa Misteriosa, the mysterious lagoon. Sounds intriguing.
It is. The architecture in Campo Grande tends towards functional and modernist, reflecting its relatively newer growth as a capital. But you'll still spot charming colonial remnants in the smaller towns, giving you glimpses into the region's historical layers.
No, language. While Portuguese is official, you definitely hear the enduring influence of Guarani, especially out in the rural areas, and the local expressions are fantastic.
They absolutely are. Bom demais da conta, which basically means too good or awesome, captures that laid-back, appreciative spirit. Or che, an expression of surprise or emphasis, kind of borrowed from gaucho culture down south, showing that connection. And a classic tamo junto, meaning we're in this together, really sums up the communal values.
And the state motto itself really encapsulates a broader vision. Omnibus pro Brasilia fiant eximia. Let all things be done for the good of Brazil.
Yeah, quite formal, but points outwards.
Okay, so now let's pivot dramatically north to Roraima, a state that truly defines Amazonian frontier. It's situated deep within the Amazon biome, but also features unique savannas, locally known as Livrado. This is a landscape where the primary cultural narrative is woven by indigenous peoples.
That's a key distinction. Absolutely. The culture here is primarily shaped by its indigenous peoples groups like the Makuksi, Wapichana, Yanomami, and Ngarico. Though, of course, it also has Portuguese, African, and Caribbean influences woven into its complex fabric. It's not monolithic.
Their indigenous heritage is incredibly deep. What does that look like in their daily lives and spiritual practices?
Well, it manifests in practices like shamanism, a strong tradition of oral storytelling that preserves generations of wisdom. Complex spiritual cosmology deeply tied to the land, intricate body painting that tells stories and signifies identity. It truly speaks to a profound living connection to nature, sacred mountains, and a holistic understanding of ecological balance. You see this in their dances too, like the Toré and Parisara. These are ritualistic, symbolic movements tied directly to nature and spirits, not just performances for show.
And the craftsmanship sounds stunning. Beautiful basket weaving, unique ceramics, incredible featherwork, particularly among the Makuksi and Wapichana.
Yes, exactly. Their ceremonial dress often features those magnificent feathered headdresses, painted bodies, and natural jewelry. Each piece is just imbued with meaning.
Historically, Roraima was one of the last areas to be extensively colonized in Brazil, wasn't it?
That's right, largely due to its geographical isolation and, frankly, fierce indigenous resistance. It only became a federal territory in 1943 and gained full statehood in 1988. That's relatively recent, historically speaking, and it still impacts its present situation.
And today, they face ongoing, often difficult legal battles over indigenous land rights, especially in areas like the Raposa Serra do Sol territory. Plus, there are border tensions due to its proximity to Venezuela and Guyana, adding layers of geopolitical complexity.
It's a challenging context.
Yeah.
Now moving to the food. The cuisine here is distinctly Amazonian. Indigenous staples like manioc, various fish, and an abundance of exotic fruits. It's a testament to living off the land and the rivers.
You'll find specific dishes like pirarucu, that's a giant Amazonian fish, right? And different forms of manioc like tapioca and beiju, a type of cassava flatbread. But you also mentioned damarita, a spicy indigenous soup made with local fish and herbs. Sounds like a true taste of the Amazon.
It absolutely is a must-try if you're ever there. And the fruits. Cupuaçu, açaí, buriti, bacaba. Just a few of the unique flavors that thrive here. You also get a distinct Venezuelan influence in the border towns, with popular dishes like arepas and empanadas showing up, reflecting that cross-cultural exchange.
The music of Roraima reflects its heritage too, I imagine.
For sure. In rural areas, you'll hear the prominence of indigenous chants and rituals, often accompanied by percussive instruments and wind flutes. It sounds incredibly spiritual.
But it mixes with other things.
Yeah, and what's truly compelling is how that traditional sound mixes with more modern adaptations of Brazilian genres like forró and brega. It even gets infused with Caribbean rhythms, thanks to the state's proximity to Guyana. And even more powerfully, you're seeing the rise of indigenous rap and hip-hop activism. Young artists using music to defend their culture and land rights. It's a potent form of modern resistance and expression.
Wow, that's a powerful evolution. And in Boa Vista, the capital, street music mixes those Brazilian rhythms with Caribbean dance styles alongside things like arocha, pagode, and gospel, a truly eclectic mix.
It really is. And the iconic Mount Roraima is a must-mention here. That mystical flat-top peak bordering Brazil, Venezuela, and Guyana. What's fascinating about it, beyond its natural grandeur, is that it was the inspiration for Arthur Conan Doyle's classic, The Lost World. Its imposing, isolated structure truly evokes that sense of ancient, untouched wilderness. You can see why he chose it.
And the biodiversity is astounding. Jaguars again, harpy eagles, manatees, howler monkeys, anteaters, caimans. The flora includes beautiful bromeliads, orchids, Maurice palms, and a vast array of Amazonian hardwoods.
Absolutely stunning. However, this rich biodiversity is increasingly threatened by illegal mining and deforestation, which highlights some of the ongoing critical challenges the region faces in balancing, development with preservation. It's a constant struggle.
The population is a fascinating mix, too. Indigenous groups like the Makuxi, Yanomami, Wapichana, alongside non-indigenous Brazilians, many from the Northeast, apparently. And we're seeing a growing indigenous political presence, with powerful figures like Dabi Kopanawa, the Yanomami shaman and activist, leading the way.
It's inspiring how pop culture here is also evolving. You have indigenous YouTubers, rappers, environmental influencers, all using digital platforms to share their stories and advocate for their communities, adapting modern tools to ancient struggles and contemporary issues.
Boa Vista, the capital, is quite distinct architecturally, you mentioned, known for its modern radial layout. That's rare for Brazil, isn't it?
Very rare. Most Brazilian cities grew organically from colonial settlements, often with winding streets reflecting the topography or old paths. Boa Vista, on the other hand, was planned, probably in the 1940s. It has a central point, the Civic Center Square, and wide avenues radiating outwards. A very European modernist approach. It gives the city a unique, open feel, contrasting sharply with the dense jungle surrounding it, almost like an intentional outpost in the wilderness. Plus some interesting Art Deco touches here and there.
Right. Other key locations include the Raposa Serra do Sol indigenous territory, which has that significant legal history reflecting land rights struggles, and Tepequem, a mountain village known for waterfalls and growing ecotourism, and the rivers Rio Branco and Tacutu, crucial lifelines.
Definitely. And while Portuguese is the official language, indigenous languages like Makuxi, Wapichana, and Yanomami are still widely spoken in their communities. They're vital carriers of cultural identity and knowledge.
And the state motto perfectly captures its inclusive spirit. Roraima, terra de todos nós, land of all of us. What are some of the local slang or catchphrases you might hear up there?
Well, a very common one is "e quanta de me," which simply means it's way too hot. A very accurate comment on the equatorial climate. Hard to avoid saying that one. You might also hear "vamos pescarlo no igarepe," meaning "let's fish in the creek," pointing to that close relationship with nature. Little streams are everywhere.
And a phrase of pride, "é do lavrado," meaning someone is from the savanna region, not just the forest.
Exactly. And maybe my favorite, "galera de la Erais," which means something like "the people there are the real deal," or "they're authentic, deeply rooted," speaks to their connection to the land.
What's truly fascinating here, listening to all this, is how two states within the same country can embody such incredibly diverse identities. On one hand, Mato Grosso do Sul, shaped by the Pantanal cattle ranching, that unique blend of South American immigrant cultures.
And on the other, Roraima, deeply rooted in its Amazonian environment and vibrant indigenous heritage, navigating modern challenges while preserving ancient ways. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really highlights the vast, sometimes contradictory cultural tapestry of Brazil. It stretches far beyond the popular imagery of Rio or São Paulo.
Yeah, and both share Portuguese as their official language, yet both are so rich with the enduring influence of indigenous tongues and local expressions. It really showcases how language itself evolves with geography and history, adapting, absorbing influences. It's like a living testament to cultural resilience.
This deep dive truly reveals that Brazil is far, far more than its coastal cities and famous landmarks. It's practically a continent-sized nation, and delving into regions like Mato Grosso do Sul and Roraima shows you how profoundly different ecosystems and historical paths forge unique ways of life, music, food, identity. It forces us really to reconsider the very idea of Brazilian identity as something incredibly multifaceted and constantly evolving, not just one thing.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit then. From the Pantanero cowboys of the South, with their unique blend of cultures and connection to the land, to the indigenous activists of the northern Amazon who are leveraging modern tools like rap music and YouTube to preserve ancient ways and fight for their rights. These stories aren't just about geography, they're about resilience, adaptation, and the sheer joy of diverse cultural expression thriving against all odds.
And this raises an important question for you, our curious listener. How might understanding the specific cultural and environmental pressures of regions like these two states change your perception of a country's overall identity? What other hidden Brazils, so to speak, might be waiting out there to be discovered and understood?
Great question to leave everyone with. Thanks for diving deep with us today. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep being curious.